Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Right. So all of the cortisols and the things that build up in our body because of stress, exercise is a way to be able to alleviate it. And
It blows it out, right?
exactly.
And
And
it
many
gives,
don't. Yep.
the stronger your body gets, the more it can handle all those things.
Yes.
It's constantly handling those things, right? It's constantly regulating those things. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Mike,
so when COVID hit and they had the shutdown, they shut down all of my gyms.
so guess where I was at?
So I walked 136 miles in 30 days.
Oh my gosh. And guess where I was, Mike?
Where were you?
So have you heard of extreme hip hop with Phil?
No.
So he is literally, I kid you not, like an international, world-renowned fitness instructor that has revamped how we look at step aerobics.
Oh, I love
So
it.
during the pandemic, we went from being in the studio to literally doing YouTube recordings in the basement
Wow.
and ended up with over 800,000 followers on YouTube and over 5 million followers on Facebook.
That's awesome.
Yes, like literally just by doing aerobic step in the basement and then something that we call extreme burn. And so you're right, along with me getting my lemon and ginger intake, because I'm a firm believer in natural things too. Like when it comes, especially ginger, like ginger is such a good anti-inflammatory. So I would literally do lemon and ginger and I would make sure that I'm working out. And that's how we all stay safe during the pandemic. And I can tell you, and of course, there's the superstition of knocking on wood, but in my whole house of a family of 5, we didn't get COVID.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like even still, like to this day. And, it might have been a common cold here and there every once in a while, but that was one of the things that we were very vigilant on has been like hand hygiene, has made sure, if we're around someone that we know and we're coming down with a cold, that we're taking these preventative measures, exercise. So even when my kids couldn't be out, I made them run. So we actually ran during lunchtime because I'm like, you're not gonna get any other activity. So it is very important. And I'm so happy to hear you emphasize that because when someone looks up and they say, well, how do you do all of these amazing things? Or how is it that you're able to manage so much? I make sure that I get my workout in at least, I work out at least probably like 4 or 5 times a week. If that, just to make sure that I'm relieving some stress.
That's awesome. I love that. I'd love to get, what'd you say his name was?
It's a, oh, you did. He would be a good one.
I'd love to have him on our podcast.
He would be a good one. He
Connect us,
absolutely.
will you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll make sure
Okay.
that I tell you about him. And one other thing, so when we talk about opportunities and just, being able to go farther than you can imagine, I'll be honest in telling you, I did not think I would live past 17.
Really?
Yeah. So I grew up, the neighborhoods that I grew up in, just people that I was around. I have a lot of friends that I lost to some sort of violence. And so for whatever reason, this age of 17 just magically stuck in my head that I wouldn't go beyond that age. And when I started to make it beyond that age and started to like just even think in that manner, it was this mindset of living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And I know that even more now, still losing people.
Almost like every day is borrowed kind of thing, right?
That's it.
Like
Exactly.
this is, past 17, everything from here on out, this is God's grace, right?
Exactly. And I live like that. So even still now, so I maximize time. I make sure, I don't hold grudges. If there's someone that I'm thinking about, making sure that I'm picking up the phone right then and there and just letting them know, like, hey, I love you. just really doing things as if it's that last moment and making sure that I'm not wasting time. So if there is an opportunity that I need to take or there's someone that I need to help, not waiting, you know? So hence even Patty saying like, "Hey, I love your story. Just by knowing you, I think this will be great." And then you have an availability. I said, "Nope, I'm gonna hop on tomorrow," opposed to putting it off.
Right.
So that's always been important. And I went to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So first time ever leaving the country, by the way, and then let known go about 12 hours by plane away from home. It was the most amazing experience and very humbling for me to be able to go and share my research around infection prevention and control and patient hand hygiene with the Saudis.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you
Awesome
hear
experience.
yes, I mean, breathtaking, mind-blowing. I had to keep pinching myself to see if it's real. Because sometimes the news will tell you things about places, but I just said, I was like, well, hey, of course, people are going to say, oh my gosh, you shouldn't go over there. There's the wars that's going on, or it's a bad time to travel. And I just looked at them and I said, well, if it's my time, it's my time. But had I been talked out of that experience, I would have never been opened up to understanding that some of the same challenges we have as it comes to infection prevention and control, they have too and are constantly trying to mitigate it. Health being a priority. They don't emphasize fitness like we do, but they emphasize healthy eating. And so there's so many things that globally we can learn from each other if we find out or think through what actually puts us together more instead of what divides us.
Right. Yeah, we have more in common than what we have that divides us. That's for sure.
We do. And even still, I always talk about Maslow's hierarchy of living. And at the very bottom of that pyramid, before you can climb up and get to self fulfilling purpose or actualization, is just making sure that people are met with food, water, shelter, and security. Is that being just the basis of what they have. So if you know that people are eating, if you know that they have shelter, if you know that they have security and water, then those are the essentials. And when I went there, they had no homeless people in Jeddah.
Wow.
And I was like, there's no homeless people here. And they said, well, no, we feed everyone. They feed everyone. The only thing I saw on the streets was cats.
Wow.
But the reason why they do their fast is they actually let people into their homes. They don't lock their doors. They let people into their homes to come in and be able to eat and be able to feast because they use it as a place of gratitude to remember what they have and what they don't have or when they didn't have. And I just thought, I was like, that is just so profound that that's something that I actually took away from over there and brought back. And so I've adopted that for, let's say, shopping. I
Mhm.
only had 2 pair of jeans in high school, and one of them was taper fit and the other one was bell bottom. So you knew I was if I wore one or if I wore the other, it was no secret, but that was all that we could afford, very early on. And so it's humbling because even as I think about the ability to be able to buy more now, it's sometimes taking that break and just being able to reflect back on when I didn't have.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And it's amazing. It's amazing how you appreciate where you came from because
Yeah,
it really helped to shape who you are today. That's just awesome.
absolutely. Thank you, Mike. And I love it because we're all human beings. At the end of the day, we all have different backgrounds, different upbringings. I tell everyone my fight or my challenge in life is no more or no less than yours because we all have them. And I think when we can talk and speak with each other on the level of being human beings, you find that you can relate to anyone. So I can have a conversation with the homeless person because I know what it's like to be homeless. I can have the conversation with the CEO because I know that they're a human being. And I know that it took something in order for them to be able to get where they are. The same way it takes me, the motivation, the tenacity, the strength to be able to get to where I am. And
Yeah,
along those paths, like, it comes challenges.
that's true. That's true. Wow, that's awesome. So let me ask you this. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
Wow. That could be so many things.
We could be here for a while.
We could. Yeah, I think Imma use this time to or just this last bit of time to just talk about, I would say, the importance of giving back even when you don't have.
Yeah.
The importance of when you are in a space, lifting someone up, even when you feel like you don't have the space to be able to do it or the capacity to be able to do it, and the importance of that. Mike, I still to this day mentor students that are just like me. I see myself in them. And what that does is it helps them to be able to overcome, let's say, those challenges.
Mhm.
As a result of me being able to do so, it's always a smile on my face when I see a kid graduate, when I see a child that's moving up. The programs that exist, we may not have enough time on our hands to be able to do everything, but it's asking yourself, if I can donate an hour of time to someone or pick up the phone to have a conversation, if it's I can sit on a board of some sort to be able to help children, then being able to do so,
Yeah.
because those are the people that are then going to be running our future one day. They're
Absolutely.
going to be taking care of us. And you wanna know that they have, like, that compassion within them to know that they can make it. It's also knowing as well that I didn't have a blueprint. You didn't have a blueprint.
Right.
We're all piecing this together.
Mhm.
So even expressing to them that adults are really just grown children that still are trying to figure it out. We're still
Right.
trying to find our pathway, but in doing so, it's doing the things that we're more passionate about. And I had an appreciation for what you said. You said, if I ever got the opportunity to allow people to tell their stories and to be able to highlight them, not in an abbreviated manner, but be able to get them to share what would that look like for me.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I appreciate the fact that you have this space for me to be able to share how I dreamed my way out of poverty in the same way that I'm teaching other children to be able to dream their way out of theirs,
Yeah.
and even adults. So those that are just around us that are having that self-doubt as to whether or not they can make it.
Yeah, so there's a sixth grade teacher in your life, right?
Mhm.
There's a chemistry teacher in your life. There's a
Mhm.
nurse in your life. Look at all the people who were just going about doing what they do. They were
Yes,
just doing what they do, right?
yes,
The sixth grade teacher was giving you rides to school when you didn't have rides to school. Let's be honest, it's a little cold in Cleveland
yes.
some months out of the year, right? Usually during the school year, right? You know, the nurse who took such great care of you that it inspired you to go get your nursing degree. And the assistant, right? The assistant nurse, the nurse's assistant that was helping. I mean, start looking at all the people that they were going about doing what they do for a living, but they had an impact on you that has never left you,
Yes,
right? And it's inspired
absolutely.
you to go to incredible heights that you're continuing to climb, right?
Yes,
Simply because you came across people that God put in your path. I was on social media the other day and I said, listen, I don't know who needs to hear this, but find somebody today and thank them. Find somebody today and tell them they're doing a good job. I walked up to a kid, put my arm around him that I've seen, I don't know, probably 50, 60 times. Put my arm
yes.
around him. I said, hey, you're doing a good job. He nearly started crying.
But you see that? And Mike, exactly what you said, that's
Yeah.
me. That
Yeah.
is so that is so me. And so exactly to the point that you just made, I've given you a few, okay? But
Yeah.
I could go on and on and
Oh, I
on.
know. We
But
could be
when
here
I
for 3 days.
That's it, but when I literally think about those people, how I mentioned to you, I take that moment,
Yeah.
I'm saying I might do a phone call. If I don't have their number, I'll send an email. I've put stuff in the mail because I couldn't reach people.
Yeah.
Like, I literally had to reach out to the director of financial aid at Baldwin Wallace, and with tears in my eyes had wrote this letter just thanking this man for declaring me as an independent student, which allowed me to finish my degree, for having grace on me to extend scholarships at certain points, and let him know, because of you, I got my PhD today.
Yeah.
So I literally took my time during that degree and did just that. This fitness instructor that I'm telling you about, even with the tumultuous times of things that happen, because while I may have made it out of poverty, I still have brothers, sisters, I have aunts, uncles that are still living that everyday life, which is why I still continue to fight the good fight.
Right.
That fitness instructor, Phil, his name is Phil, but Extreme Hip Hop with Phil, has just him being in his element and loving what it is that he does has been my stress reliever in so many regards. So when you mention what love you have every time you're pumping arm because you're like, "Hey, I wanna build these muscles up," that's what STEP gives me, and it's like the gift that keeps giving,
Yeah.
and it's almost like I'm a little pseudo celebrity, Mike, which I crack up at because I can go around to other places, and they're like, "You're Dr. Nina from Extreme," because that's what he'll call me, Doc. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." But it's so humbling when someone's seeing you and they're like, "I watched you during the whole pandemic and your energy is amazing and you're just so motivating." And it's so humbling because
But
I'm
think
doing
about this for
it.
a second.
Yeah.
How many PhDs are doing that kind of thing? How many certified nurses are doing, how many registered nurses are doing that kind of thing? How many people in your field, right, are actually doing what we're talking about? When people think PhD, they don't think somebody who's involved in aerobics instructing. Okay. They don't think about that kind of thing. They don't, you with me? So
Yeah.
you're breaking norms all over the place, and I guarantee you it's having an impact. This interview is going to have a major impact. I guarantee it. You mind if I tell you something real quick?
Go right ahead. Yeah.
So we live in Escondido, California, and I actually campaigned for the mayor here and helped him get elected. And he came on our podcast, and he
Yeah.
told us that just a few short years ago, he was homeless and he was a drug addict. He ends up going into drug rehab. He ends up meeting his current wife. They now have two beautiful girls, and he's the mayor of Escondido. I mean, talk about, and this is just a few short years. Okay. One
Yes.
of the things that he mentioned on our podcast interview was he got a text message on a particular morning after he had said a prayer. He was going to quit. He told his mother he was going to quit rehab. And his mother
Yes.
said, "Well, say a prayer." It's on a Friday night. Say a prayer and be specific. Ask God specifically what you want. So he did. The next morning, he gets a text message from some missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Okay. And they had been texting him. They used to run into him in parking lots when he was high and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they had his number. They texted him that morning and said, "Would you like to get together?" He texted back, "Yes." It was the first time he had texted them back, and they had been texting him like dozens and dozens of times, right?
Yeah.
So we do this thing. He ends up turning his entire life around. That day is the biggest part of it. And that get together that evening was the biggest part of it. It literally was an answer to prayer. So fast
Wow.
forward about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, I'm driving by my house and I'm on my way home. And I look up and there's two missionaries young men
Mhm.
walking down the street. And God told me to turn my truck around and go encourage them. And so I did. I turned my truck around. I got on my truck. Now I'm a big guy and I've got sunglasses on. I look a little intimidating. People tell me I kind of look like a cop. I got on my truck and it sort of startled them, right? And I
Yeah.
took my glasses off and said, "Listen, guys, I just want to share something with you. The mayor of Escondido." And so I shared this story with them. And I
Oh.
said, "Just don't stop. No matter what you do, don't stop reaching out to people. Even if they haven't responded, keep reaching out. You guys are walking miracles and you don't even know it." Right?
Oh.
Right? What you do every day has an impact. They nearly started crying.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm
They
about to
nearly
start
started
crying.
crying.
I'm
And it
about to.
was it was the moment that they needed that
Yeah.
encouragement. You with me?
Yeah.
I'm not even a part of the Church of Jesus Christ. I'm a non-denominational Christian,
Mhm.
but I saw the power, right? Through his story, I saw the power of what they do to help turn people's lives around.
Mhm.
I mean, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. It's just like going back to what we talked about with Maya Angelou, right? People will forget what you did for a living, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
But that's it, and you know what you did for them? Them feeling as if they have to be strong to help other people, and that just brings full circle about check on your strong friends,
Yeah.
and even the strong, need support too because of
Yeah.
that level of uncertainty, so that was powerful, and I just wanna say it resonated with me in more ways than you know, and I know that messages come at a certain time for a certain reason, so thank you for that message of keep going,
Well, it's
and
why we do this. It's why we
yeah,
do this
that was
because
good.
we're getting people's stories and they're sharing with us why they do what they do, right? And how their life, their journey through life has helped them to get to where they are today. And it's fascinating to me. I know you can't tell because I hide it well, but it's fascinating to me how your life has come full circle to
Yes,
where it is today. I can't wait to see what you do tomorrow.
listen,
Can't
and
wait to see what you do
And
tomorrow.
and trust me, I'm striving every single day to it's not even figure it out. It's really just appreciating the journey. And I think that right there, that's how I keep going. I feel every ache, I feel every pain, but I always remind myself, God says, take what you want and pay for it.
Mhm.
Meaning that if I'm trying to build a certain life, if I'm trying to let's say go after a certain task, help a certain group of people, it's gonna come with some of those hardships. It's gonna come with some of those pitfalls. But I'm always thinking through what am I learning? What is this meant to teach me? What is this meant to do so that way I can prevent falling again, in this regard? And so I've had that and I'm thankful for it. Just as much as I am the successes, I don't think they would feel as good as they do if I didn't have those moments of where it was hardship, where it was challenges, where I was questioning, oh my gosh, am I on the right path? Having imposter syndrome, which is a real thing
It is
when
a real thing.
yeah, when you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm really doing this? Am I really big?" Or, just whatever the case may be. Because even now and don't take offense to this, but I just see an anointing over you, meaning, I see something special in what it is that you're doing and even the way in which you bring things out of others, and so, thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I cannot thank you enough for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate our time together. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being here.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.